In this video I'm gonna show you how to get the smooth gimbal shot for car videos, and I'm gonna try to give you some tips I learned over the years using gimbals for car videos. Hello and welcome back to a new video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Bob Mietinen and I'm a photographer, videographer, and I mostly shoot cars. So if you like that, consider subscribing, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. So the first tip to getting smooth gimbal shots is to balance your gimbal right. And how do you know if you balance your gimbal right? It's pretty easy when you have learned it, but it doesn't matter how you move your gimbal or how you set it, but once you move it to a place and then it stops and it stays there, then you know you have balanced the gimbal right. And why should you balance your gimbal right? There's probably more than one reason, but the biggest reason is so the gimbal motors doesn't work as much. If you balance it wrong, the gimbal motors will start to work, and they will start to work too hard, and then you will get shaky motors, and when you get shaky motors you get shaky footage, and you don't want that. So that's one way to know that your gimbal are balanced right, and then you can always put it on and do the inbuilt calibration and use the calibration tools to get to know if the gimbal is balanced. But often when you have balanced it right, so you can put it in a position and it stays there, it usually works. And one other thing, it's the settings in your gimbal. This gimbal, you put it up through the app, and then you get to the custom settings and get to really dive into the settings. You always got to try out for yourself, see what works best for you, but in the end it's just going out and use the gimbal. Or if you don't have the time to go out, you set a subject up in your office, in your house or anywhere, and then try to use the gimbal as much as you can, because in the end it always comes down to how much you practice and how much time you put in. Once you learn how to use a gimbal, it's a really fun tool, and when it comes to car videos, it's a must to have a gimbal for the kinds of videos I'm shooting. And then you have something called deadband in the gimbal itself, and it's a really important thing to look up. Let me just turn this on. The deadband is basically the sensitivity. If I move my wrist, you can see it takes some time before the gimbal reacts, and I have my deadband set to 6 and the highest number is 7. So if I go lower, the gimbal will react faster to my twisting movement with my wrist. And why I have set it to 6 is just that's the sweet spot for me. And even though I'm twisting my wrist a little bit, as you tend to do when you're working with a gimbal, it doesn't react. But if you have a low number on the deadband, it reacts faster, and it's harder to get those smooth shots when you're doing a pan or orbit or something like that. So really check into the deadband settings. I will put my settings up here so you can see them. Then you can use them if you want, and if you don't want, don't use them. Other than that, we can just go out, and I'm gonna show you some more tips that will help you get those smooth shots. So when it comes to shooting cars and using a gimbal, the number one thing that's always important is the way you walk with the gimbal and the way you hold it. Try to keep it tight to the body and bend the knees, walk heel to toe or toe to heel if you're walking backward. Try to implement that in every shot you can, because that will make your gimbal shots so much smoother and it will look so much better. So I'm gonna show you 2 videos side by side and you can see what I mean. And we don't got any fancy cars today. I'm just gonna use my old Volkswagen Polo, but it will do. I still get some practice in, and that's always good. So first I'm gonna show you without the ninja walk. So if I just walk like this, you get all these movements up and down, and you also get some micro shakes, and you don't want that. So what you want to do is keep the gimbal tight to the body, walk heel to toe, and walk really slow. And same backwards. Then you walk toe to heel instead. And you will have a much smoother shot. And it takes some time to get used to it. And it's really important to walk slow and not stress the shot. Even though I know I can slow it down in post, I try to think that I'm shooting in 25 frames per second, and it should look like slow-mo shot once I'm getting to the editing process. Then I know that I walk in the right speed. Once the car is standing still, I always use 60 frames per second. But if I want more light into the sensor and keep my ISO low at night, I might shoot at 25 frames per second, and then I can't slow it down in post. Then I really need to walk slow and steady. So it's really important that you learn how to walk slow and steady. There are a few basic shots that I think you need to learn to get smooth gimbal shots, and the first one is just a normal push-in. This one you use all the time, and it usually looks really good from down low. So I'm gonna point the gimbal, then I'm gonna walk slow in. And then we have the second basic movement, and it's the pull back. Same shot, but you're walking backwards. And then you have the orbit. It usually looks really good from a high or a low angle, but we're gonna go for a low angle with 70 millimeter. So what you want to do is try to keep the car in the middle of the frame, then do a circle around the car. And then you have the slider shot. This one can do from a higher angle. It's just walking in a straight line to the side. This usually looks really good if you have something in the foreground. And same here, you see I'm twisting my body to the side and not walking like this, because it's really hard to walk good then. So turning my body and then walking the ninja walk. And there you basically have every basic movement that you need to learn. The orbit, the push in, the pull out, and then you have the slider shot. And then you can do this, but in a combination. So I'm gonna start from the bottom and I'm gonna do a push in, but with my gimbal starting from a low position, and I'm gonna push up the gimbal, slowly revealing the car. And we can do the shot of the taillight, do it from this side, and here I punch in at 70mm, so I get some movement in the background. Usually looks really good. Now we can slowly walk, try to keep the taillight in the middle of the frame. And when you use a longer focal length, you don't have to move as much because the background comes closer to you. So a little bit of movement will look really much when you go into a tighter focal length. So experiment with your focal length. It will really up your videos, and not using the same focal length all the time. So give it some time, practice a lot, and you will get there. That was it for this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.